Please join the board in a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Canty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This meeting of the Plymouth Select Board is taking place in a hybrid format. Members of the board are joining us here in person at the Town Hall. Members of the public and presenters may be joining us virtually over the Zoom webinar platform or physically at Town Hall. Members of the public who wish to attend this meeting may do so at Town Hall, or they may do so using the Zoom webinar link that is included on the agenda that's posted on the town website. We may also be watched on Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 47. Members of the public that wish to participate in public comment may do so virtually over the Zoom webinar platform or in person as well. And I will also remind members of the public that any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of the Select Board consistent with Massachusetts general law after notifying the chair, subject to reasonable requirements of the chair, so as to not interfere with the conduct of the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any recordings. We are aware of recordings being made by the local scene, formerly known as PAC TV, and that is all we are aware of at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. First order of business will be the proclamation, Small Business Day proclamation. Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to give the folks at home a little bit of background before reading the proclamation into the record. The town was approached by an organization called Women Impacting Public Policy, as well as the Small Business Saturday Coalition, in order to highlight the real need for keeping shopping locally during the holiday season. Upon seeing that, I reached out to Stephen Cole from the Plymouth Foundation and Amy Naples from the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. They've brought quite a delegation here tonight, so I'd like to recognize the folks who are here in the room. From the Chamber of Commerce, their chair, Scott Hokinson from Bravo Benefits, their vice chair, Sandra Smith, who comes to us from Advisors Living Real Estate, Stevie Keith from Keith Brothers Plumbing, and Pam Smith from Locally Yours. Thank you folks for being here tonight. And from the foundation, I know we have Jay Kimball, Jack Meal, and obviously Stephen Cole is here with us tonight as well. And thank you for Rep. Muratori for being here as a representative from the foundation as well. The proclamation that I'll read into the record is to create a recognition for Small Business Saturday here in Plymouth, after which time I'll make a motion that we adopt the proclamation. Whereas the town of Plymouth, Massachusetts celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 34.7 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 61.1% of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses employ 45.9% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents out of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at a small business creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas 59% of U.S. consumers aware of Small Business Saturday shopped or ate at a small, independently owned retailer or restaurant on Small Business Saturday in 2023. And whereas the town of Plymouth, Massachusetts supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our community's character and culture. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now therefore, we, the Select Board members of the town of Plymouth, Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday. And we urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday, celebrating its 15th year in 2024. and shop small throughout the year. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to have Stephen Cole from the Plymouth Foundation come up and speak on behalf of the foundation.
Sure, only if you'd like to.
Mr. Chair, let the record reflect I will never turn down an opportunity to speak. I want to thank the Select Board, especially you, Selectman Golden, for organizing this and allowing us to come and speak today. The foundation has three core focus areas, among them small business development, workforce development, and entrepreneurship. Everything we do is really largely intended to support our small business community. In fact, another stat to add to your proclamation, Selectman Golden, 52% of jobs in Plymouth are tied to businesses with under 4 employees, and 82% of jobs in town are tied to firms with under 20 employees. So small businesses really are the backbone of the Plymouth economy. We want to thank our small businesses and our partners for investing in Plymouth. We want to thank you for the support that you show us regularly throughout the year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to have Pam Smith from Locally Yours come up and speak on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, Plymouth Select Board. My name is Pam Smith, and thank you for inviting us here this evening. I own the retail shop Locally Yours with my daughter, Alyssa. We're a small retail boutique specializing in cozy hometown apparel, gifts, and home decor. We have a location in the Village Landing and a second shop in Manamet that we opened last year. I'm kind of a behind-the-scenes mom/co-owner, doing the marketing for our business, the designs of our apparel, and the not-so-fun administrative tasks. We've been in business for 6 years. My daughter was 22 when we first began this small journey together. Amy Naples and the other Chamber's members know that I don't love being in the spotlight or even speaking in public, but I'll always speak on behalf of the small businesses in our town. Small Business Saturday is like our Christmas. We plan many months ahead for this single day. It's our busiest day of the entire year. Kicking off the holiday season with this proclamation and encouraging residents of Plymouth to support small businesses by shopping and dining local helps us to thrive and allows us to give back more to the community, create more jobs, and strengthen the local economy. It's been a challenging year for many of us, and knowing that we have your support means so much. Thank you, Town of Plymouth Select Board, for this Small Business Saturday proclamation, and thank you to Amy and the Chamber team for all the initiatives that they have planned for this day and the entire holiday season. I love that Shop Local is becoming a part of the vocabulary in our community, so thank you for the support.
Thank you.
Thank you for your words, Pam. Mr. Chairman, if you're ready for a motion, I'm happy to make it. I motion that we accept the proclamation as read into the record and proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday in the town of Plymouth.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Golden, second by Mr. Canty. Discussion? Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Bletzer?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes, unanimous.
Thank
you.
If I could, just one more thing. It's important to note, too, that this will be highlighted on shopsmall.com. So we will be entered into a listing of communities that have made such a proclamation all across the country. So this will bring some notoriety to Plymouth and hopefully will help generate some great business for all you small business owners. Thank you all for being here. If it pleases the chair, could we invite all the small business owners up for a picture?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I did want to mention Jay's company, because I mentioned everyone else's, is Wood Seafood, and Jack is retired.
This is the fun part.
Senior Tax Credit Lottery, excuse me, Mr. Brandisi.
Great. Thank you, Derek Brindisi, Town Manager. So this is the main attraction for this evening. I want to give a little history to what brought us here this evening. Ms. Gurney is here. She's Director of Human Resources. Her and I had a conversation late winter of last year, and we talked about how we can be more transparent with how we identify those seniors and those veterans who participate in our senior veteran tax work-off program. So the Human Resources Department, Jody, Jackie, Chris, and with Jade's help, came up with this event for this evening. So just a little bit of background. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to pick 10 veterans who have applied to participate in the Veteran Tax Work-Off Program, and we'll pick an additional 20 seniors who have applied to be part of the Senior Tax Work-Off Program. We have a total of 93 applicants, so not everyone's going to have an opportunity, but we thought this was the most fair, the most transparent way of selecting those individuals. In years past, these individuals were selected at the Human Resources Department, and there wasn't a public process, so this is the public process. We will then identify an additional 5 seniors who go on a waiting list. So for example, if one of the seniors we select in the top 20 chooses not to participate, we'll have 5 on a waiting list that we can then just go ahead and plug those individuals in. So as far as the program in and of itself, these individuals who do participate will be required to work 100 hours. They will be paid a sum of $1,500. That $1,500 will be applied to their real estate taxes and will be deducted from their real estate taxes. So I think that's it for how this program works. What I would ask the chairman to do is take out his Wi-Fi enabled Bluetooth red button. Mr. Chairman, if you have that, and you put that in front of you, thank you. And so I'm going to count down from 3, and down at 1, Mr. Chairman, if you could hit the Wi-Fi enabled red button, that will activate the lottery. So, and then I'll talk about what we'll do after we do this. So, Mr. Chairman, 3, hold on a second, Jade's not ready, so I want to make sure the Wi-Fi is working. Uh-oh. All right. 3, Jade, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Look at that. So we're going to do this 10 times for the veterans. And then once this is complete, we will have identified, we had 11 veterans who applied. So 10 will be selected in this program. The veteran who does not get drawn will be entered into the remaining pool of senior applicants. We expect there are hundreds of seniors at home watching this to see if their number will be selected this evening.
So they know their number?
They do know their number. That's a great question, Mr. Chairman. I'll explain that in a minute. All right, so those are the numbers, 205, 37, 3, 76, 204, 206, 210, 40, 119, and 89. So those 10 individuals are now entered into the Veterans Program. So now we're going to move to the Senior Program, where we will select 20 primary spots and then an additional 5 that will be queued up on our waiting list. So Jay's going to enter that. 1 senior who did not make the cut. And then again, Mr. Chairman, we're going to reactivate 3, 2, 1. So to the chairman's question, part of the application process, the applications had pre-identified numbers on the application. So when an individual applied, they already knew which number was going to be assigned to them. There was background music playing when we did this earlier, so I'm sorry for the...
Can you articulate the application process while we're watching the numbers roll?
Yeah, so every year, we have an application process where we encourage seniors and veterans to apply to this program. The program will begin on January 1st. And again, we are able to fund up to 30 individuals in this program. We have a budget set aside in the overlay account for $45,000. So 30 individuals times 15 is the $45,000. We have applications, certainly you can come to the Human Resources Department to apply, but we left hard copy applications over at the library and over at the Cal as well. So the folks that most often attend those municipal buildings had access to hard copy applications. And again, all this can be found on our website as well. So are those 20, Jade? Okay. So those are the numbers. I'll read them very quickly. 21, 49, 79, 203, 108, 134, 67, 132, 65, 122, 214, 9, 189, 69, 171, 7, 80, 105, 77, 186. So those are the 20. We'll do 5 more just in case any one of the top 30 drop out. We have 5 folks that are in the queue, and we will identify them based upon the order of in which they're selected. All right, so those are the final 5, 25, 101, 208, 131. So the Human Resources Department will reach out to those lucky 30 tomorrow and let them know they've been selected. And then typically what we try to do is we try to identify individuals, their area of expertise, and then match them with one of our departments that are looking for those individuals with that type of background. So thank you all who applied. We'll do this again next year, and hopefully we can get others.
Thank you. Braintree has nothing on us. Any questions on the licenses? We have one correction for South Shore Race Management to a new date of 11/28/24, just for the record.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no questions from my colleagues, I would make a motion to approve all of the listed licenses as a group, incorporating the correction you just highlighted.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Golden. Discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes. 5 administrative notes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to segregate out number 3, so I'd be willing to make a motion that we approve administrative note number 1, number 2, 4, and 5.
Second?
1 second here, please. Can we, for administrative note 2, Silvio, is it 2?
Yeah, administrative note 2, if we could just vote to approve all sessions of the spring annual and not the special, at the behest of and at the advice of the town clerk. She mentioned because the special town meeting warrant is not open yet, that we should vote that at a later date after the special town meeting warrant is open. So the board should just vote to approve all sessions for the spring annual town meeting tonight. And not, the spring annual, but not the special.
All right, so let my motion reflect the reference changed.
And my second as well.
So it's 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Correct.
With the correction.
Yes.
And motion by Mr. Mahoney, second by Mr. Canty. Discussion? Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes. That brings us back to number 3.
I'll leave.
Okay?
Now, Mr. Chairman, so, just so the public is aware, the administrative note tonight, number 3, has to deal with a 5-year agreement with American Cruise Lines. Going to ask the town manager to come in here and basically go over some of the details, but I believe, hopefully I'm correct on this, some of the background is that I think late in the summer of '23, there was 3 basically experimental approaches into the harbor with this boat, which is approximately 220 to 240 foot long. So they came in 3 times, and then this summer they came back roughly about 24 times, and now what we're on the verge of approving is a 5-year agreement with another uptick in dates that they want occupied on their calendar. So I want to thank the chairman and the town manager for showing up last Thursday night at the Harbor Committee meeting. They went through the whole presentation and the proposal and how we arrived at this point in time, and I want to thank the Harbor Committee for taking a vote in, full support of this 5-year agreement.
Thank you, John. Yeah, it was unanimous, which was nice. Any other comments on 3? Mr. Canty?
I know we talked about this agreement, for a while amongst ourselves as an executive, and I think we were able to reach a reasonable compromise with American Cruise Line. I think also it's important to note that there has been a significant, the work that the town has done, the police and the harbor master, in trying to make sure that the agreement we currently have works well for everybody, including the lobstermen and other fishermen,
Yep.
should be commended as well. I think that's a big reason why the Harbor Committee was in support of it, was obviously this had some consternation and reservations at a prior point, but I think a lot of those issues have been resolved. And I think it's by the town's work, police and harbor master in particular, but also, the lobstermen and other fishermen working with the guidelines that we put out and the provisions we put out. So I think this 5-year agreement is set up to work very well for the town, and I think the cruise ship does add significantly to the town's overall waterfront, bringing tourism there. It's an expensive cruise with a lot of people that are spending a lot of money to visit our community, puts us on the map in a new way. So I think it's definitely a benefit. I just wanted to highlight that.
Mr. Bledsoe?
Just to add to that, the harbor master and the police and everybody worked hard. Derek, yourself too, but I'd like to, the misinformation out there, when it finally, people realize that the cruise ship does not leave. They have 2 buses, and they don't leave Plymouth. They go as far as the Pawtuxet, and they go around in the downtown to the business areas. And that was misinformation. Folks thought they were leaving Plymouth and taking people. That's not the case. So they spend their whole time in Plymouth. And the fishermen, their concerns have been alleviated with the winches have been open, and this is people working together. Everybody worked together to make this happen. It's gonna be very helpful to our number 1 industry, which is tourism. It's a great work, and everybody was open-minded. They saw it working this summer, and we have a 5-year agreement, and hopefully we can go from there and even get a longer agreement next time. So anyway, thank you. Good work.
I'd like to thank Derek and staff. Good job, Derek, negotiating the contract. I know you did a lot of that yourself, and
I know Derek always says at the meetings that, you know, we're getting as much rent as Boston gets.
That's right.
We're the two highest, right?
That's right.
Correct. Same as Boston. So you did a good job. And the other good question is, 2/3 of the money will go into a separate account to be for maintenance and upkeep of the town pier or something they might need down there, and the rest of it will go in the general fund. We thought that was very important to have a little nest egg for maintenance and upkeep, so. On that too, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the 5-year docking agreement with American Cruise Lines listed in Administrative Note 3.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blitzer. Discussion. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Before we get into the agenda items, I know there's a gentleman in the audience that wants to speak under public comment, so if you'd like to come up and identify yourself for the record, that way we get you moving along.
Good evening, Select Board. My name is Gregory Tavares. I reside at 4 Little Pine Lane here in Plymouth. And tonight, not only do I represent myself, but also the other residents of Little Pine Lane and also of Lady Slipper Drive. Back in July 11th of this year, we had a resurfacing process on the street of both Little Pine and Lady Slipper, which is called chip seal. And over the past few months, this process has been lifting off the street, and it creates small stones which gather on the side of the street. I understand that this is a money-saving remedy to some roads. The issue is the volume of traffic on that residential area is not enough to keep that chemical and those rocks in place. They are lifting. I have asked for street sweepers to come by. The street sweepers do come, not as frequently as I was told they would come, and I have it in writing. When they do come, no fault to the operators of the street sweepers, but the street sweepers also pull the material from the street. And that residential area is just a small path. Most people drive up and down the middle of the street. On occasion, the rocks enter the driveways, they enter the garage. When you have guests, they pick it up on their feet. If you don't tell them to wipe their feet or watch their feet, they drag it in the house. It's becoming a real issue. Not only is it causing property damage, as far as the vehicles, these rocks are kicking up, chipping the paint. I myself have an older vehicle and a newer vehicle that I will not drive on the street because the town has already told me that they were not going to pay to paint my cars. I understand that. Unfortunately, we've had one child in the neighborhood who already was turning his scooter on that loose gravel off the side of the road that never gets picked up and has broken his wrist. So I have, on August 29th, I was told that the street sweepers would come and that they would come weekly to try to rectify the issue of the loose gravel. Unfortunately, that has not come to fruition. On August 30th, the street sweeper was there. They made one pass up, one pass down. As I stated, when they come, it does pick up some of it, but it does not pick up all of it, and it's left behind. I personally go out there with a backpack blower. My neighbor also does, and we pick it up with a push broom and shovels and put it in buckets. On September 6th, I met with the DPW director, Mr. Coyle.
Mr.
And-
Tavares, it's been 3 minutes. How much more time would you?
Okay, I don't have much more time,
Little-
but I've met with Silvio, Mr. Coyle, and they were supposed to get back to me. Nobody has gotten back to me. So at this time, I was
respectfully request that this board and the town manager, assistant manager, Mr. Coyle, come to some kind of resolution for the residents and myself of this area, because what's happening out there is not good. And more importantly, we need a resolution to this before another child or grandchild visiting gets hurt in that neighborhood. Thank you for your time. I know I went over, but I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Thank you. If you want.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Bill Coyle, DPW Director. I can say I have been on site probably a half a dozen times now, myself and the Assistant Town Manager. We're out there a few weeks ago. We have sent the sweeper out there on numerous occasions. We can't go out every week. We're down to one street sweeper right now, and we have 235 miles of paved public roads to sweep. We've chip sealed 17 miles of roads this year. It is a surface treatment. It is not new pavement, and I do think that sometimes when the roadways that may be chip sealed versus a new resurfacing, there is an expectation that the roadway would have newer asphalt, which is certainly a different process. We selectively choose what roads we will pave. Roadways that are in poor condition, maybe something where we would pulverize it because it's so badly deteriorated, we can't resurface that roadway. Some roads, similar to what we're doing on Allerton, which will be paving tomorrow, will be a mill and overlay because it's getting to a point where it's beyond a chip seal, but not quite to the point of pulverizing. In this particular neighborhood, the roadways were in fairly good condition, so it would have been chip sealed as a preventive maintenance and to try to get another 10, 15 years out of that pavement. Had we not done that, then it would have likely just deteriorated to a point where it was much more costly for the town to maintain in the future. We haven't received a lot of complaints on the chip sealed roads. We have been out to both of these streets numerous times, and we understand that sometimes residents are not happy because there are loose stones that can be generated from the chip seal. Over time, that diminishes, and that's what we've tried to explain, that you have to just give it time. It will diminish. And if you look at roads that we chip sealed a few years ago, in fact, myself, I have to literally get out of the vehicle and look closely. Is this pavement or is this chip seal? And you have to stop and walk it and actually try to define what it is. So in time, the loose stones will go away. I would say 95%. You may always have a loose stone here or there, but I do think it will take some time. And through the plowing process, we may generate some more. And then next spring, we'll sweep it up again, and over time, there'll be fewer and fewer loose stones. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Barata?
I have a question. Mr. Tavares brought up a point that it's because that his streets don't get a lot of traffic, and that's the reason why. The reason why I'm saying that is because I have it on my street, but it's a busy street. And in the beginning, my wife was complaining about the same thing about the vehicles, but that didn't last long. And it looks great, and we've had no problems after like a week or two. The loose stuff went away. I had to sweep my driveway out. I know what you're talking about, the stuff in the driveway. But I have a busy street, so my question is it because there's not a lot of traffic on those streets, and is there something you can do about maybe bring the rollers over there or something? I don't know. I'm asking.
I mean, I don't think the effect of the additional traffic is significant. I do think it may play some role. It may take longer, because when we put the material down, you have to keep in mind, we put down a liquid asphalt, we put the chips down, and then we compact it, and then we sweep it. All in the same in one day. But over time, you do have to sweep it more and more. The additional traffic, it's already been rolled and compacted. It may help a little bit, but I don't think it's significantly different. I think next year, they will see fewer stones, and granted, it will take time. So, I mean, whether or not it was weeks, but I think it's more than weeks. Typically, one season, Next year, you'll have fewer stones.
When were those streets, when were they done?
Those would have been done, I would guess probably sometime in the late, June-ish, maybe July.
July?
I mean, Greg,
that surface was put down on July 11th.
yeah, July.
So it's been a few months, so,
But,
yeah.
and I will say, even during the first plowing operation, typically you'll see some more loose stones come up. But I'm not talking that all of a sudden the road is wiped out. It's just, if you walk it, you don't see, that the stone is now gone. You're gonna see some loose stones on the edge of the roadway. And then, next year, it'll become fewer and fewer as time goes on. It's a very cost-effective maintenance operation. Again, it's not a newly paved road, and it is a little different. Some communities actually prefer it. 20 years ago, I worked in a community where that's what they wanted. They liked the aesthetics of the chip seal. They liked the fact that they felt people tend to drive slower in their community because of it, because there's almost like a rumbling sound when you drive it, because the stone is the exact same size aggregate, so it creates this almost a rumbling sound. So some communities prefer it, and actually would rather see that.
Like I said, my street, it's great, it works great, but again, we're a busy street, so I didn't know if, that's the difference, that your street's not as busy, so,
It's certainly something we could take into consideration in the future.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, do I get an opportunity to have some rebuttal to that?
No, not here, Greg. Not after, usually we don't respond to public comment, that night, but Mr. Coyle was here, and I know he's been out there. I know a little of the background, so. But you're more than welcome to speak with him tomorrow, in the morning or whatever. I can't speak. Is that all right? All right. Moving along to the agenda items. Public drinking water, lead and copper rule update.
Okay, good evening again. Bill Coyle, DPW Director. Mr. Chairman, with me tonight also is Kendra Martin, Water and Wastewater Engineer. The reason I asked to come before the board this evening is that there are approximately 3,000 notifications that are going to get mailed out to our water customers. It's actually 2,622 notifications. And these are letters that will come out from the Plymouth Water Department. And what this is in regards to is in 1991, EPA passed the lead and copper rule. Over the years, there have been 4 modifications to that rule, and we're about to enter into we're already into another modification. So the town of Plymouth, along with every city and town across the entire country, if you provide water to the public, you have to inventory all of your water services and determine, are any of them lead services? So we have gone through and started that process, and we've determined that we have 228 lead services in town. So the services are the connection from the water main to the house. Okay, and it's important to note, too, that the town of Plymouth is responsible for that service from the main to the shutoff, to the curb stop, and then the property owner is responsible from the curb stop to the foundation. So we are notifying all the customers that we either know have lead services, we don't know what they have, it's undetermined, and there are 2,391 undetermined customers. And then there are 3 galvanized lines that may have lead. So each one of these notifications, there are 3 different versions. You will get the version that is suitable to what your situation is. So I wanted to let people know that these will be coming out. It's nothing unique to Plymouth. This is the entire country is under this requirement by EPA. So what does it mean? Well, it means that of the 2,391 that we don't know what their material is, we have 3 years to determine what that material is. So there are things we can do, and even as a homeowner, what you can do, for one, and I'll get into a little bit, is there's a website, on the town Plymouth's website, we have an inventory of who has lead, who is unknown, and who do we know does not have lead. But if you also want to check yourself in your basement. You can look at where your water service comes into your basement, and if you have a plastic line coming in, then you have plastic. If you have copper coming in, then you have copper. And obviously, if you have lead, it may appear as a gray line coming in. If you were to scratch it with a screwdriver, you'd see its lead is soft. And then when you scratch it, you would see that it's kind of shiny. That would be a lead service. Most likely, you don't have lead. There's 228 in the entire town. We have almost 15,000 customers. So I wanted to let you know that this is going to be mailed out this week to the customers, and that once we identify in the next 3 years of the unknown water services, if they are lead, we have 10 years to upgrade those services from the water main to the house. Ultimately needs to be replaced, but it hasn't been determined exactly the responsibility from the curb stop to the foundation. Normally, that is the homeowner's responsibility, but we need to have some internal discussions on how can that be funded. Whether or not, if we go in and we determine it's a lead service, if we're going to replace from the main to the curb stop, do we have a mechanism for the property owner, whether it's a betterment or however it might be, to then go from the curb stop to the foundation? So all these things are going to be discussed and determined, and we will certainly provide more information regarding that as well. We currently, just so you're aware, we do test our water supply. We test it at the source, at the wells. We do testing on a periodic basis about schools and daycares on a rotating cycle. And I think it's safe to say that we haven't had any exceedances with lead. So just like PFAS is another big one that EPA is focusing on and making more stringent, they are making the lead levels more stringent as well. But I think we're in good shape, but we have to follow this mandate. Again, another unfunded mandate that we have to move forward with. And we also do random checks as well throughout town. We'll test water supplies and determine whether or not there's any lead levels that we should be concerned with. If you do have a lead service, you can reach out to us, and we can test your water as well. So there's several things that are changing, but the biggest reason I wanted to be here tonight was to let people know when they get this letter, it's something that is across the entire country. These letters are going out. So it's not specific to Plymouth per se. This is a new EPA requirement. And either I can happily try to answer some of your questions, and Kendra is here as well to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Mr. Canty?
Thank you, Mr. Coyle. I have a few questions. So I know you said it earlier, but just to highlight, how many service lines do we know have lead?
228.
228. And how many do we not know whether it's lead or not?
2,391.
And how many do we know do not have lead?
Well, it would be about 12,367. And what you can do is, the town does have a website. If you go to town of Plymouth, you go to DPW. I know we have the link, but if you go to DPW and then go to water, you will find a list of lead services on the left-hand side. If you click on that, it's an interactive map. You can actually zoom into your address or type in your address. It will tell you whether or not you have a lead service or not, or if it's unknown. And it
Okay.
also breaks it down to on the town side or on your side, meaning the customer's side.
So, and will the 228 that have lead services and the 2,391 that have unknown services, they're the ones that are going to be getting a letter? Or is everyone
And then
getting a
there's
letter?
one other group, there's 3 that we believe have galvanized lines.
I saw that in the packet.
So there could be a lining of lead in that as
From
well.
a prior upstream?
Potentially from upstream impact.
Do we know how many of those there are?
There's 3, is what
Oh.
we believe are 3.
Okay. And so you mentioned the testing, though, that we're doing, other than if a resident asks us to test the water in their home, is of the water the town is putting into the line up to it's reaching the curb service, right?
I'll let Kendra respond to the testing
Okay.
procedure.
So we're follow right now. DEP requires us to do lead and copper testing.
Okay.
So we have actually residences that we send these samples to, and they agree to
Oh.
sample their water in their house. So we do 30 of those residences. And then, so they fill the bottle, fill out a chain of custody, and then we send it to the lab. And those
Okay.
are how we get the lead and copper samples.
And are those random, or are they?
We have a list that's approved by DEP for who we can sample.
Okay.
It's a longer list than the 30 because sometimes people don't respond to the
Right.
request, but yes, it's been looked at and approved by DEP.
Okay.
That will have to be updated with this new regulation and requirement, but it'll all be approved by DEP of who is sampled.
Okay. And are any of those samples ones that have either lead or unknown, or there's only 3 galvanized, so there's not a.
Yeah, so the new requirements are going to, they're tiered, is how DEP does their lead and copper sampling. The tier 1s are what they say are single-family known lead. They want you to attempt to do all tier 1s. So those would be those ones that we know have lead in them. As part of this program, we are going to be determining what those unknowns are, and if those unknowns turn out to be lead, they would be technically considered a tier 1 that we would attempt to include in the sampling program.
And out of those tier 1s that are being sampled, is it at a level that is concerning for human
We have
consumption?
never exceeded since 2003, we have not exceeded the DEP action level for lead, which is 15 parts per billion.
Okay. So if someone gets the letter,
Yes.
it's not a critical, this must be changed immediately.
No,
type
this
of
is
panic.
not because of an action level or we have exceeded any of the limits set by DEP. This is simply a public notification requirement
Yep.
from EPA on just a general update on what possible effects of lead are and to let everyone know what their service may or may not be made of.
Okay, so this is not a Flint, Michigan type
This is not a
situation.
Flint, Michigan, no.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Kendra, thank you for being here tonight. And maybe, I don't know if this is for you or Bill, but in addition to the letters that are going out directly to the residents who are impacted by this, are you folks going to push this out, social media, website? How are you going to control for what will probably be a lot of phone calls to your department?
We are
asking if
anticipating a few phone calls.
I am also on this list when my friend talks to me about it.
Yes, I believe we're going to work with the town manager's office and Casey to get something out to let people know about these letters. They are stuffed and ready to go for later.
I think highlighting that there is a limited number of homes in the community that are impacted by this, and that there is a ready-made website that you can double-check your status is probably how you can limit the traffic to you all. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to point out one other thing. Sure. For people who are watching, if you do have copper piping within your internal plumbing, a lot of the solder from prior to 1986 had lead in the solder. So if you're concerned about lead, even though it's not water that's necessarily coming in from the town, but it may be stagnant overnight, you can run your water for a minute or more prior to consuming it in the morning or drinking or making coffee or taking a shower. So if you're concerned about lead, you can always run your water and flush the system for a minute before using it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Center for Active Living Advisory Appointment, 1 3-year term. Is Angela Linderholm here? I don't know if I pronounced it. If I didn't, I apologize. Come on up.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Angela Landerholm, a psychiatrist over at BID in Plymouth. I'm the chief of psychiatry and the medical director for our senior behavioral unit. And I have applied to be a member of the advisory board for the Center for Active Living. I've been fortunate to be able to participate in a few activities there this fall and worked closely with them on some education around mental health and aging. I'm really excited about Plymouth's designation as an aging and dementia-friendly community, and I think I could add to the advisory committee there.
Mr. Blitzer?
I don't have a question, I have just a comment, and something I say all the time here is that the experience of volunteerism and the experienced people that apply for it's, your resume just speaks for itself. It's incredible, your qualifications.
Thank you.
And to be able to volunteer, I happen to be the selectman liaison on that, and welcome aboard. You'll be a great addition, and you'll be a wealth of knowledge for what that group does. So, anyway, it's a great group, and we're going to be lucky to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Wish of the board?
I would make a motion to appoint Dr. Landerholm to the 3-year term that she applied for.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blitzer. Discussion? Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes, unanimous.
Thank
And
you very
thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Ocean View North 40B, information presentation. Please identify yourself for the record.
Good evening, members of the board, and everyone else that's here in attendance. Thank you for coming to listen to our presentation. My name is Essex Petrie. I work with Pulte Homes of New England. I'm here joined by my colleague Brian Beck, also works in the land planning group at Pulte Homes of New England. Do I have a clicker? Sorry. Perfect, thank you. Pulte Homes of New England is a wholly owned entity of Pulte Group, which is a publicly traded national home builder. We have 26 divisions throughout the United States. Our New England division is based out of Westboro. It's important to note we're completely self-funded. We are not reliant on third-party financing. We have no equity partners or banks or financiers. Pulte has been in the New England market since 1994, and we've been building homes in eastern and central Mass and other parts of New England ever since. Our reputation is key to our success. I grew up in Massachusetts, as did many other members of our project team. We recognize that Massachusetts is made up of a number of just small-town communities, especially eastern and central Mass, and peoples from neighboring communities and towns talk to each other and share experiences. We pride ourselves on nurturing positive and transparent relationships with municipalities, homeowners, and our neighbors where we do business. We have a number of active ongoing projects that are listed here, and we encourage you to take a drive through any one of these or reach out to any peers or friends that you may have in the area of these and ask if they have any direct experience with these projects or with us. Sorry, yes, yep.
THS, townhouses.
Townhomes, yes.
Thank you.
It's a good point. We should probably have that clarified up there. Thank you. So in addition to Pulte Homes, I wanted to take a second to introduce our other team members that will be partnering with us on this project. TEC Engineering is handling our site design and civil engineering. Pete Ellison has joined us here tonight and will be presenting later and will be available to answer questions related to the engineering. MDM Transportation is handling our transportation impact analysis, and Bob Michaud from MDM will be presenting later and talk a little bit more about details on anticipated transportation impacts. LEC Environmental is handling the natural resource evaluation, identification, and analysis, and we've begun our consultation with the Conservation Commission. Weston Sampson is handling our wastewater and water engineering analysis and design. And Smolak and Vaughn will be handling our legal services as we walk through the project with you in the future. Earlier this year, the town of Plymouth released Priority Plymouth, the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. Additionally, a few months prior to that, the town released its housing production plan that includes housing needs assessment and details goals and strategies for housing production over the next 5 years. Understandably, the majority of our presentation will focus on how our project can fold in line with the housing production plan. But I did want to take a couple minutes just to discuss how Pulte and this project in particular can help the town achieve some of the goals associated with the Plymouth Climate Action Plan. Pulte's commitment to building environmentally sensitive communities, it starts with our land acquisition process, and it's evident throughout our planning, construction, and operation. During each phase of our project process, we work to identify and manage risks and opportunities associated with the environment. In particular, sustainable site planning. Denser housing reduces sprawl and the associated land consumption. It allows for natural resource avoidance and provides for more opportunity for land preservation. The inclusion of structured parking within building footprint reduces the amount of land consumed. It also significantly decreases the amount of impervious surface associated with the project and the amount of stormwater runoff that will require management with the project. Our buildings will be completely electrified, meaning electric heat pumps, electric hot water heaters, so no propane, no natural gas or oil. It means no fossil fuel dependency or no emissions from our buildings. Additionally, we will provide electric vehicle charging outlets at each of the buildings. From innovative insulation to low E-glass windows and smart appliances, we are constantly integrating new building products and practices to help increase the efficiency of our homes. Our homes are optimized to maximize material content and ease of construction that really minimizes job site waste. We install low-flow fixtures in our kitchens and bathrooms to ensure water conservation, and we vow strict compliance or exceedance with stormwater management standards. We employ low-impact development strategies that promote responsible vegetation growth, avoids the discharge of pollutants, and they're designed to manage the wide range of weather events that we're now experiencing on a more frequent basis. So just to speak to some of the more project-specific items, just to quickly orient everyone on where our project is located. We are in North Plymouth in the area of Court Street, Hedge Road, Prince Street, and Sandry Drive. Our project is made up of 3 primary building sites in 3 distinct locations that total less than 9 acres each combined, or excuse me, total less than 9 acres combined. For ease of discussion tonight in this presentation, we're numbering them 1, 2, and 3 just for reference points. Building 1 is located off of Court Street, directly adjacent to the Salem 5 Savings Bank. Building 2 is at the end of Prince Street. If you're looking down Prince Street, it's at the end, it's on the left, along the bike path. And Building 3 is proposed along Sandry Drive, off Hedge Road, adjacent to the rail right-of-way. Sorry, this is a little harder to read than I expected, but before we just get to the details of the programs of each of those, I just wanted to introduce some of the site characteristics that really helped drive our site planning process. For instance, there are numerous pockets of wetlands and other natural resources on the site, and avoiding these impacts to these areas was critical during the development of our program and building our site boundaries. This plan and the next 2 plans are from an order of resource area determination that was released by the Plymouth Conservation Commission that defined the boundaries of the natural resources located in the area, including the wetlands, stream, and floodplains. That darkest green color represents the boundary of the wetland areas, and the lighter shades of green moving away from that represent the buffer zones away from those resource areas. The blue represents there's a small stream on site, and then the lighter blue is the riverfront area associated with that. And again, this information was part of what really helped inform and focus our development envelopes. As we focus in on Building 3, sorry.
Is all the property that you own contiguous?
So,
Contiguous.
a couple points to that. So to be clear, Pulte Homes doesn't own the property yet. We just have the property under agreement. And the property that we're talking about building on is not all contiguous, no. The sellers, there are a number of parcels that make up the seller's property in the area, but the parcels that we are looking at for our building program they're not contiguous.
You're looking at,
It's sectioning off 3 of the.
so do you have under agreement only the areas of land under number 1, number 2, and number 3?
That would be the agreement if we were to move forward with the project, correct.
Okay.
So looking at a little bit closer at building area 3, many of the resources in the area are concentrated along that Hedge Road, Sandry Drive area. Currently, this area is primarily impervious, including a large abandoned industrial and office complex and associated parking and paved storage area. We're confident that our proposed program will provide a significant improvement on the existing conditions in this area, particularly as it relates to natural resource protection. In addition to natural resource avoidance, there are other critical site characteristics that help define our site planning. In the case of sites 1 and 2, the topography in this area played a key factor in our planning. The significant slopes there, coupled with the natural resources at the base of those slopes, really help define the program locations. And as I noted, we have started conversations with the Conservation Commission. We recently met with Patrick Farah, and we reviewed the town's regulations and bylaws, and we're confident that we can work with the commission to come up with an agreed-upon approach at minimizing and avoiding impacts to these resource areas. So here is a high-level site plan and looking at our program of all 3 of the building sites. Again, just to note, the limit of work area on all 3 building sites combined is less than 9 acres. Building 1 at Court Street is approximately 2.8 acres. Building 2 is a little more than 3.5. Again, that's largely due to the slopes in that area. And Building 3, the total building area is about 2.5 acres. The program consists of 3 4-story, 50-unit garden-style buildings, totaling in 150 units. These buildings are all electric, and these are all home ownership units, so no rentals. 25% or 38 of the units will be made affordable through the EOHLC. And each of the buildings have elevator access from the bottom floor all the way up, providing single-floor living for each of the units. The buildings themselves will be very similar in style, arguably identical, except the buildings off of Court Street and Prince Street will have garage unders, where we're able to bury the garages, whereas the building on Sandry Drive is more of a podium-style garage, so it'll be 4 stories of living on for the at-grade parking in that location. As you can see on this site plan, and Bob will go through in much more detail, vehicular access is evenly distributed across 3 different roads, really diluting trips along that public roadway network. Additionally, the proximity to that bike path, providing great walking and bike access, helps further reduce potential stress on the roadway network. So now I'll turn it over to Pete. If you want to talk through some of the details on the engineering piece.
Good evening. My name is Peter Ellison. I'm a civil engineer with TEC, and we're managing the site civil improvements as part of this project. So what we're looking at here is the layout plan for Building 1. As Essek mentioned, the main driveway access to this building is proposed off of Court Street. It's between the existing parking lot at the St. Mary's facility, in between that and the Salem 5 Bank on Court Street. It'll be a 2-way driveway access into the site. There are 41 proposed surface parking spaces. Those are 90-degree parking spaces along the left side and bottom side of the building, as you see it here on the plan. That two-way drive aisle continues around to the back of Building 1, where you see a garage entrance to access the 50 parking spaces that are located in the lower level of the building. Once you get past that garage entrance, that driveway changes to be a one-way. The purpose of that is to provide 360 access all the way around the building for fire and emergency services. That driveway will be wide enough to support emergency access, and will also function as kind of a walking loop, I guess, for the residents.
Pete, do you have a laser up there? Is there a laser up there? So, could you?
Sir.
Right there. So where is St. Mary's, and is it to the left or the right of the entrance?
St. Mary's is located here. This is their parking lot.
And where's the church?
The church is, the building is located here.
Okay.
From CVS, Old Ernie's.
Okay, was 7-Eleven? Oh, 7-Eleven is that in the bottom left corner? Okay. All right, thank you.
The best thing to look at is over here, you can see, this is, oops, this is the new CVS building here, the old Ernie's.
Okay.
So this is Ernie's, so it's a little bit beyond Ernie's. This is Prince Street here, this is Cherry Street here. So we're just past the Cherry Street intersection. You have the St. Mary's Rectory, not Rectory, but Community Center and CVS.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Mr.
A
Palazzo.
Question, so Building 1, how many parking spaces total?
There are 91 parking spaces total, 41 at the surface and 50 in the lower level of the building,
And that's for how many units?
for 50 units.
50 units.
It's about 1.8 parking spaces per unit. Sorry, that's an industry way
Yeah,
of.
okay, yep,
Yeah.
thanks.
Any further questions on Building 1? Layout? Okay. So to help orient everyone, Prince Street runs left to right across the bottom of the page here. We're looking at Building 2. Running north-south, this is Cordage Street here. The access to Building 2 is all the way down at the end of Prince Street where it is currently a dead end. That will become a two-way driveway access into Building 2, where you'll find 43 surface parking spaces along the left side of the building. That driveway circles around to the back, very similar to Building 1, and you have a garage entrance here to access the parking in the lower level. At that point, the driveway changes to be a one-way drive aisle all the way around the building and back out to Prince Street for fire and emergency access services.
And Pete,
Yes, sir.
this second building, you're also doing underground parking, or is it under the ground level but under the building?
It's buried parking. So
Buried.
if you're standing in the surface parking lot or at the front door, it's buried underground. One unique feature to Building 2, the North Plymouth Rail Trail runs along the eastern edge of the property here. So what we're proposing is a walkway connection that would come from the building down to access that rail trail for the residents. Sorry. This is the layout plan for Building 3. So to get everyone oriented here, running north to south along the page here is Hedge Road. This is the terminus of the North Plymouth Rail Trail here. There's a new sidewalk that runs up and brings pedestrians or cyclists to Sandry Drive, which is the roadway here, which serves as the main access point to this site. As Essick noted, this site is previously developed, so if you're out there today, it's occupied by an empty industrial office building. It's entirely impervious today. Building 3 proposes similarly 50 units. I guess, difference with Building 3 is that this is podium construction, so it is not buried. It's at surface level. The 43 parking spaces are located here on the right side of the page, and the two-way drive aisle comes around to the back of the building where you can access the podium level of parking, the 50 spaces underneath Building 3. And similarly, the driveway turns to a one-way drive aisle and would be able to navigate all the way around the building for fire and emergency services.
Question. How much is that deeded parking? How much, is it one space per unit, or?
That's a good question, Essex. Do you have?
No, but the residents have the option to purchase a space, one of the garage spaces, otherwise it's available.
It's just, is there visitor parking, or is that all
Yes,
just
yeah,
first
it's
come?
the exterior parking is
So
open.
it's first come, first serve?
Correct.
But underneath is not?
Underneath, yeah, you purchase a spot and you get a fob essentially to get into
Right.
the garage with that.
Okay, thanks.
So this is the grading and drainage plan for Building 1. Like Essex noted, there is quite a bit of topography out here. It's approximately 30 feet of topography from the bottom of the development area toward the top, sloping down. All three of these buildings are being designed with a stormwater system that will fully meet the Massachusetts standards. What we're proposing here is to collect all of the impervious area and the rooftop runoff, collect that in a closed drainage system, and direct the water to a new infiltration basin here to treat and infiltrate that stormwater prior to discharge to the existing wetland area. Building 2 is previously undeveloped. This area also has quite a bit of topography on it, approximately 35 feet from the area on Prince Street to the top of the development area here, again sloping down from here towards the top of the page. Very similar to Building 1, what we're proposing here is a closed drainage system that will collect all of the stormwater from the proposed impervious parking and the rooftop area. That water will be sent to 2 detention basins, one proposed here along the western property line and one proposed here along the eastern property line. Those will flow down and eventually hit a new infiltration rain garden here at the top of the page. Building 2 has been designed to fully capture all the way up to the 100-year storm. So it's a very robust stormwater design that comes with Building 2. Building 3 is fairly flat across this area. It is previously developed with a building across it. In general, the impervious areas from Building 3 are going to sheet flow and get caught by 2 rain gardens. One will be located here on the western portion of the page, and one will be located here, just east of the new parking area. All that stormwater will be treated in those rain gardens and eventually will discharge out to the existing stream that flows out toward the ocean. As far as utility goes, this is Building 1. We're proposing water, sewer, and electrical connections all out to Court Street. Building 1 will come with a new sewer pump station because the topography of the site dictates that a lift station is needed here. Building 2 proposes water and electrical connections out to Prince Street. And in this case, there's a sewer main that is located beneath the North Plymouth Rail Trail that will serve as the connection point for our gravity sewer to Building 2. And Building 3 proposes to connect to all of the existing utilities that are already on site. So water, sewer, and electrical is available at the site being previously developed. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Essick.
Thanks, Pete. This is a rendering of architecture that we have recently started construction on a different project. This is not exactly what's being proposed for Ocean View North, but we're still fine-tuning the details for that architecture. But we do anticipate a similar style incorporating some of the highlights of this design with a well-defined front entrance, use of stone and composite accents to really provide variety for the exterior materials. The facade will have balconies and box bays to break up the face and provide depth and shadows. And the roof line, it could either be consistent across the top, similar to this, or it could include variable parapet heights to really provide some definition to the building profile. It's something that we are still working on, and we'll look to present more defined architecture as we move forward. And with that, I want to turn it over to Bob to talk about traffic.
Good evening, Chair and board members. Robert Michaud, Managing Principal of MDM Transportation Consultants. We've been engaged to look at traffic and transportation aspects of this project. I don't need to go into detail about each of the individual sites, but to say that this is a unique project in that it has three distinct areas in which development will occur, as opposed to a concentrated single location. What we have been able to do is understand the baseline traffic volume conditions that exist in that area. We've focused the efforts and the analysis to date on Court Street at each of the points where traffic would be introduced by these projects, Hedge Road to the north, Prince and Cherry Street to the south, as well as the driveways themselves. They're shown on the aerial on the left side of this drawing. On the right side, we've taken time to also inventory public transportation systems, sidewalk systems, pedestrian crossings, the location of the site relative to the rail trail, the bike path, and those types of amenities. Although the sites are well-positioned for walking and biking and do have some access to public transportation systems, we're not relying on those when we do the analysis. We're actually looking at these sites as if they're not relying on any aspect of public transportation or walking modes, even though we think that will be a factor at some point and to some degree. The next slide really represents a very high-level graphic of weekday morning and evening peak hours that are traditionally associated with commuter travel and higher volume conditions. And as I had mentioned previously, they would include the intersections of Hedge Road at Court Street here and the signalized intersection of Cherry Street at Prince Street here. We've done this in the weekday morning hours as well as the weekday evening hours. We know that Court Street is a well-traveled arterial roadway. No surprise there that it carries between 1,000 and 1,300 cars per hour during peak seasons, particularly during summertime. What we've been able to do is, relative to those volumes, estimate the change in activity that would be associated with these three particular sites. We've done that by applying an industry standard, well-established trip rates for these types of projects. We do many of these, dozens of these types of projects every year here in the Commonwealth. Nationally, there's a database that indicates for these types of residential projects how much traffic they generate on a per unit basis. And we've applied those standards to the 150 units that we're talking about here. In the aggregate, among all of the units that are being proposed over the course of a typical peak hour, the highest hour of traffic activity for these uses, we're generating less than 60 total vehicle trips over the course of that hour. And as I mentioned earlier, these will be spread among three individual sites. So it will, as Petrie had mentioned earlier, it will tend to dilute or deconcentrate the amount of traffic that's being added to any particular intersection or roadway. So in a very graphical format, and I don't pretend that you're going to see every number on this screen. They're very small numbers.
If I can, the vice chairman just made a remark also. I mean, I don't believe in that for a second. I'm sorry, I don't have your degree in it, but I have lived here since 1958, and I have yet to see a traffic study that works. You didn't do Long Pond Road, did you?
No.
And the reason I say that is because we hear the same things, I have over the years, and they always work for a snapshot in time, and I'm very concerned. The traffic, I don't know the hours you mentioned, but I live there, so I can tell you, it's already, Everett lives there also, it's very busy.
Sure.
At certain times. CVS, from the lights at Standish and Hedge School to Cherry Street and Court Street, where you're talking about putting one of these units. You can't even move down that street, especially when the school's open. I don't know if anybody did a study or whatever you're doing there in the morning or evening when schools get out.
Yes, we've taken those into account, and I will mention that there's an independent study that's being done by GPI, working in collaboration with the town, the North Plymouth Circulation Study, which also documented these same conditions, not only vehicle volumes, but pedestrian activity, bicycle activity. They've done a comprehensive overview of all of the transportation systems, constraints and issues that exist in the North Plymouth area, including the locations that I'm describing now. What we're presenting is objective, actual information. I don't dispute that things are busy there. You live here, you experience it every day. I'm not here to dictate anything. I'm simply reporting factual information. It happens to be very consistent with the same information that's being presented independently as part of the North Plymouth Circulation Study. There are initiatives that the town is already undertaking that relate to the signal, for instance, at Cherry and Prince Street. That's an outcome of the mitigation for the CVS project. In 2023, there was a full design of enhanced improvements there that include a widening of Court Street, the addition of an exclusive left turn lane onto Prince Street, a new signal that will be activated and preempted for emergency purposes when necessary. So there's a lot of initiatives that are ongoing to attempt to address the very issues that you're pointing to. We've taken those into account. We're aware of them. We continue to have conversations with Public Works, Planning, to understand how these projects fit in with those initiatives. And I'm pleased to say that while these projects in the aggregate are going to add traffic if they are built, that's a certitude, that they represent about a 2% to 3% change over what has already been documented in the North Plymouth Circulation Study. Pulte in particular, is very much apprised and wants to work with the community to make sure that these integrate well, not only from a traffic perspective, but from a pedestrian and bicycle perspective as well. They have a vested interest in making sure that that works well. They continue to have conversations with police and fire, so we're not dictating anything here. We're simply presenting factual information that we continue to discuss with the town, and that we think is very consistent with, again, that North Plymouth Circulation Study that I mentioned earlier. These projects, if you look at individual intersections at Hedge and Court Street, for instance, as one example, in the morning, when most folks are inclined to leave the development as opposed to come back to the development, we'll be adding somewhere around 14 vehicles over the course of an hour on Hedge Road toward Court Street, and that would relate to about 9 left turns an hour, about 5 right turns an hour. They're small numbers, is the point.
Going north on Court Street, taking a left on Cherry Street, have you tried that light here and there? What did you think of that?
I have, and I will say this.
I'm curious, because I tell you what, I'll do anything to avoid it.
Sure.
And the cars go out without the green arrow, and it's causing the people on the other side to go on the other. These are my concerns with traffic, and nothing personal against you, but long after you people are gone and everyone got paid, we, the taxpayers and the people that live in this community, get stuck with the problems. So that's why I have the little chip right here, because I've heard it, I've seen it, I've watched it, and, you know, you will never convince me that your traffic thing's gonna work. I will never buy it, I'm gonna tell you right up front. Because I haven't seen one yet in this town that does, whether it's Long Pond Road or wherever it is, South Street, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Again, what I'll say is that the town is already pursuing initiatives to address that very location that you just mentioned.
Are you looking 10 years out from now?
The design plan that is being advanced for that signal looks out at least 7 years from now. I have traveled through that intersection, clearly not as much as you have, but I clearly understand that queuing happens there. It's very difficult. If a single left turn needs to turn onto Prince Street today, it creates a ripple effect on your ability to go through the intersection. That's the reason that the design plan is introducing an exclusive left turn lane there, and the reason that the signal will be updated to work much more efficiently than it currently can. And that's a substantial improvement, you know, well north of $1 million. And so we understand that context. That signal is being designed for the future in mind, inclusive of the volumes that we're showing on this diagram. So you know, things will get better than they currently are, but it's not going to happen overnight. And so we're here to simply, again, objectively show numbers. At some point, I suspect that, and it's the normal course to have a peer review process undertake an independent lens and view of what we're preparing to make sure that it's accurately presented, that it accounts for future growth, that it accounts for initiatives like the one that I just mentioned, and that to the benefit of the community and Pulte, there are additional measures that might be advanced that would enhance safety and access to each one of these buildings and sites.
I mean, how do you improve from the corner of CVS to Hedge School or Standish Ave? I mean, there's no room to improve it. That's my point.
I'm not going to put a master plan together, certainly not on the spot. It's one of the reasons that the North Plymouth Circulation Study was commissioned.
You know what? We're going to go in circles here.
Right.
I'm not going to agree with whatever you're going to say about this because I don't believe it to be true. And that's just the way I'm going to support the project that way, unless you can really show me, because it might not be your fault. So then you have to ask yourself, if you're me, is it really worth it? I mean, we know right up front there's going to be an issue. There's just one of them. Okay, and we have no answers, and I know you say it's not yours, and you're going by this guy, and that guy is going by that guy, but at the end of the day, the traffic's not moving. And, you know, everybody's gone. There's 50 units here, 50 units over there, another 50 over there. I mean, they're not all the same, but that intersection is going to have problems. I mean, and I don't have a degree in traffic, but if, you know, CVS is right here, and the houses are right here, you're not widening that road any, unless you're going to do a flyover. That might work. But, I mean, I don't see how you're going to accommodate the traffic with what you have there. I mean, where's it going to come from?
And that's where we work collaboratively with Public Works, with Fire, with Police. We have a lot of eyes on what is being proposed. I can appreciate the concern. You live here, you experience these things. Traffic is central to every project in the Commonwealth. It is the #1 issue. I understand that. I've been doing this for more than 36 years. I can say that every project that Pulte mentioned on one of their first slides, that we've had a role in every one of those projects. And I can point proudly to every one of those projects as providing transportation solutions that benefited the community, that worked well, better than what we actually predicted in our studies, and that were the outcome of a collaborative process with the community. Pulte is not a developer that comes in and steamrolls anything. They are very much engaged with conversations as they have been over the past months. I've been involved with the site for almost a year now, this combination of sites. We have a lot of additional work to do. We don't have answers to every question, but we listen well and we collaborate well. With that, we look forward to that continued collaboration. And I think what Pulte's trying to do here is tie in with the town's housing production plan in a responsible way. And it's my job as their representative on transportation issues to make sure that all of those aspects are being considered, not in a vacuum, but in direct communication with police, with fire, public works, planning. And I commit to you, Board of Selectmen, that we're here for the long term. My business has been in business now for 22 years. We have a stellar track record. I like to look back at every project that we do and know that we made a positive difference, and that possibility exists here. We're not going to be able to definitively go through every aspect of those plans this evening, but there's a commitment to work with this community to make sure that it ends up better. We make things better than we found them, is the mantra. So I appreciate your comments. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Essex.
Okay, but we have another question from the Vice
Before
Chairman.
you, can you go back to the slide that listed 56 cars? And
Sure.
so weekday morning peak, I'm assuming that's rush hour?
It is, correct.
And weekday evening peak, I'm assuming that's the other rush hour?
Yes, and that would be a single hour, but it doesn't mean that all traffic happens only in that 1 hour. It means that the shoulder hours, the first row of information, 56 vehicle trips that are being presented, that could occur between 7 and 8, and again, between 8 and 9. But when you get between 9 and 10, it begins to tail off, and it begins to ramp up earlier in the morning to 7 a.m., right? So these are not all of the trips that are being generated by the use. These are the highest number over a 1 hour period that would be generated that happen to coincide, in this case, with the traditional peak hours.
Right, but I mean, that's where you're losing us, is you got 150 units, so if everybody has one car,
Yes.
there's 1.8 parking spots
Yes.
per unit, so that's 270 potential cars.
Yes.
So you're telling me that in rush hour in the morning, there's only 56 cars that are leaving that facility?
Per hour, and the typical, and this is borne out by post occupancy monitoring that our firm has done for very similar projects, including Pulte. They're published nationally by the Institute of Transportation Engineers. These are real numbers. This is actually what happens for these types of projects.
I know you said it was an industry standard, but if that's an industry standard, I mean, it doesn't pass the, I don't have a degree in traffic either, but I do live near the chairman and Mr. Malaguti, and I go through this intersection a lot. And these numbers do not, with all due respect, pass the smell test in terms of where these other 90 people or are other 100 people thereabouts don't go to work in the morning. I mean, a certain number of them could have off-shift jobs, a certain number could be retired, some could work at home. But that's an awful lot of people not going anywhere during rush hour on either end, which is just, it strains credulity to believe that all those people are not. Even if they don't have a job, I mean, they're not going, they don't have any other obligation. Many things in life happen around peak rush hour traffic, the start of a social engagement, going to the gym, things of that nature. I just cannot believe that in 150 units with potentially up to 270 cars, you're only going to see 56 in rush hour in the morning and 59 in rush hour in the evening. I will never believe that.
Right, and again, we have documented evidence consistently and regularly that show and bear these out. Now, just to put a picture, a better drawing on how this actually works, traffic is generated typically over about a 4-hour window of time for a development like this, starting at 6 in the morning and going to about 10 in the morning. If you're a nurse or a healthcare worker or someone who needs to be on a job site at 7 in the morning, your commute is earlier. If you're even going to work these days, and hybrid work is a real thing, and you're a typical office worker, a 9 to 5 kind of person, you are more inclined to leave between 7 and 8 in the morning. If you're an R&D employee, research and development scientist, it's not uncommon to have work hours that go late through the night, and you go back to work mid-morning to midday. And so there's a variety of reasons that people travel to work during various hours of the day, and that's borne out by these numbers. And we have real numbers for real projects in Massachusetts, including by Pulte, that bear these out. We're not saying this is the only traffic that happens and then it disappears. We're saying that traffic ramps up early in the morning, peaks between 7 and 9, and then starts to tail off between 9 and 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Cumulatively, when you add up those numbers, if you take the 43 hourly trips and you assume that happens over a 2-hour consistent period, that's more than 80 total trips. The shoulder hours make up the difference in trip generation for those, again, depending on the nature of your work, or if you're even working that particular day because of hybrid schedules. So a national database supports these, a local database supports these. I've been doing this for 36 years, and I have run and owned MDM for 22 years. We go back and measure these. These are real numbers. And we welcome peer review. We welcome independent commentary on this, which is a fair question. Don't get me wrong. Very fair question. And it's the most single asked question when we show these types of numbers is, are these real? That can't possibly be true. They are. They just happen over.
We had a development come in against our will over off Long Pond Road, which alluded to earlier, which had a similar razzle-dazzle to how little they were going to add in terms of traffic to that area. And anybody that goes through by Home Depot Drive can see that those numbers, which a prior board was promised was going to be accurate, were not. So I have all the you can say it until you're blue in the face, candidly, with all due respect, but I think this is definitely going to be like that situation in a few years and not like the numbers that are up here, because there is a tremendous amount of traffic added to an already congested intersection for the Oasis off Home Depot Drive, much higher than was promised and sworn up and down at that time. And I see no reason to doubt that the other people that live in this community would have some magically different schedule and criteria just because they live in North Plymouth versus Central Plymouth. So I understand what you're saying. I understand you have expertise in this field that I do not, but I just do not credit this. I cannot credit this based on the number of between 150 to 270 cars in that area. I just cannot believe that it's only going to be 56 at rush hour in the morning and 59. I get that there's other hours in the day. People have different work. People are hybrid. Not that many people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. With that, hand it back to Essex. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments. And again, just to reiterate Bob's statement about the traffic analysis and the importance of it, recognizing that we would welcome any sort of peer review analysis to bring in another engineering firm to provide a similar analysis, a third party that we can work with, and they can provide an analysis for you separately from what we're providing based on our project program.
Mr. Mahoney.
Essex, can we go back to a couple of the overviews with all three proposals?
Sure, excuse me, I'm sorry. I had one last slide, and then we can open up, if you don't mind, and then we can open it up to everything.
I'm sorry, I thought we were...
No, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off, but just that way, everything can be out on the table from the presentation, and we can go back to any of the slides that you'd like. As I noted earlier, Weston & Sampson is on our project team as well, and their primary focus on this project is wastewater and water. They have done previous work with the town of Plymouth. They're familiar with the infrastructure, wastewater and water network with the town of Plymouth. They're very familiar with the recently developed water system master plan and the various improvement items that were identified within that master plan. And through our coordination with DPW and the Water Department and working with Weston Sampson, we identified what we feel like is an appropriate contribution commitment to include as part of our project. Particularly related to Prince Street is approximately 1,200 linear feet of existing 8-inch asbestos concrete pipe running from Court Street for the length of Prince Street to the end of the cul-de-sac. The town has indicated that replacing that AC pipe with 8-inch ductile iron is a high priority, and we feel that we could provide an immediate benefit to the town and our neighbors by offering to install that new 8-inch ductile iron pipe for the length of Prince Street, and then providing a complete mill and overlay of the roadway once that infrastructure work is complete. And really, the preliminary estimate based on what we have looked at and recent similar work is approximately $700,000 effort to complete that work. And we are looking to offer that as part of our development program. So, Mr. Mahoney, I apologize. I can go back to anything that
No,
you
that's fine. Just a couple of questions. So we're driving north on Court, and let's say we take a right on Prince Street. So predominantly on the left, we see residential homes, where I believe those property owners, their backyard is going to abut Building 1, or the development on Building 1, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so where you have written in private drive A, in between the trees and private drive A, there's this coloration of light green. So what is that depicting? What are they going to see?
That will be a grass slope. That area coming off of Prince Street going down the hill, it's a pretty significant slope going down. So it's an area where we will be providing a grass slope to get down to where our level parking area would be.
And that basically, at Building 1, that is something that virtually encompasses the whole proposal. That grass slope is going to be all that green going around the exterior of the project?
That light green area does represent grassed area, yes.
Okay.
And then just to point out, the dark green in the back, that's a stormwater basin in the back.
Okay. Now, Building 2,
Yeah,
once again.
Let me go back to,
Okay, so Building 2, one way in, one way out, that's going to be Prince Street. So there's not, you don't have the ability to put in like a rear entrance. There's no way that is possible, correct?
correct.
So all the traffic going in and out will come down Prince Street and take a left and go in and out.
Yes, yep, the 50 units that are associated with Building 2 would be using Prince Street.
Okay, and we see that there's more residential homes on Prince Street, and also you have Cottage. Now, over at 3, you're to the north, there's some residential, but predominantly the rest of that is kind of isolated?
It is, it's abutted by Cordage Park to kind of Page left, or the west of Building 3. It's directly adjacent to the rail corridor there. On the other side of the rail corridor is Cordage. And on the right side, there is the marina, and prior to the ocean.
These are all 3 buildings. You said one-level living. Can you give us what is the typical square footage?
Sure.
Are they 2, 3 bedroom? What are we looking at?
So it's primarily 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms. As a requirement with EOHLC, a certain percentage of the affordable units have to be 3 bedrooms. So there would be 4 3-bedroom units as well as part of it. Otherwise, a typical building mix is 23 1-bedrooms and 27 2-bedrooms. So with that mix, there'd be thrown in a couple, 3 bedrooms as opposed to the 2 bedrooms. So, like I said, a handful of the 2 bedrooms would become 3 bedrooms as required by EOHLC.
And what was the
rain-
number, out of the overall 150, how many will be hopefully in perpetuity, quote-unquote affordable?
38 units, and yes, it would be required to be in perpetuity.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and just to follow up on that, the square footage range is roughly 950 to 1,300 or so square feet, depending on the unit style.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Canty?
Can you bring up the first slide that had natural resources as the header? Yeah. So these shades of blue and green, that's where a naturally occurring, if left undisturbed, wetland would exist or does exist if it has not been disturbed, correct?
Correct. So the darker green areas, those are existing wetlands.
Yep.
As verified by the Plymouth Conservation Commission. And then the lighter green areas represent the buffers associated with the town wetland bylaw. There's a 35-foot no disturb buffer and then a 50-foot buffer beyond that. So that's what the green colors are related to.
Okay.
And then the blue up in here, there is a perennial stream located in this area. That's what that dark blue is. And then associated with that is a 200-foot riverfront area.
Okay, and building 3, you said has, the structure is raised and parking is at street level under the structure?
Correct.
As well as adjacent to it?
Correct.
1 and 2 both have parking underneath the structure as well as adjacent to it? Is that-
Yes, correct.
All right.
Yep.
So those efforts require earth removal, right?
Yep.
To build that? So you're taking
For-
sand, gravel, and other earth out of those?
So it's
footprints?
earth moving, right? Because the way that topography so building 3 pretty much is straightforward. It's largely flat as it is today. We're building the podium garage on the existing surface. There's going to be, obviously some earth movement and removal to accommodate that, but primarily there's not a lot of earth getting moved out of the building 3 location.
But all of them will involve some level of earth, sand, and gravel removal, right?
In a certain capacity, absolutely. So, and that's why I wanted to go to 1 and 2 in particular is more of an earth-moving operation. We worked, well, I should say Pete and his team worked real hard at balancing the site because of the slopes associated with these buildings with their garage under. They're built into the side of the slope, so it allows us to use that garage under as part of that a retaining wall, essentially. And so it allows us to better balance that site. And as you can see for building 3 in particular, building 2, excuse me, where the driveway entrance does a little bit of an S-curve coming off of Prince Street, and that's, again, to accommodate that significant slope change in that area.
Can you go back to the natural resources, but just to zoom in on 1 and 2? This one. So those lines in 1 and 2, that's topographical lines, right?
Correct, that's topography.
And north of 1 and northwest of 2, at least on this orientation, that's where water is pooling. There's a 1 and 2 are on some level of hill. Water is running off, and if left undisturbed, would naturally pool in that greenish blotch, correct?
I can't answer that specifically, but because of the qualifications of that ground, it's undeveloped land, so it is assumed that it seeps into the ground. So, there is a factor that gets ratio when you conduct your stormwater management analysis. So yes, water does run downhill. All the water that falls in that site does not run down into those pooled areas. A certain factor of that gets, seeped into that undeveloped ground there.
And you mentioned these rain basins that rain gardens that they're gonna have, but it just seems like you're taking undisturbed land on or adjacent to wetlands with these, and I get 3 is already developed, but you mentioned towards the beginning that this was sustainable architecture, sustainable building. Wouldn't it be more sustainable to not build on or adjacent to a wetland?
Well, the idea is finding that balance and balancing the need for housing and the ability to provide that housing in a way that is managed on site. And as Pete talked a little bit about in his piece, is that managing 100% of that stormwater on site was what was critical to making those two sites in particular work. And it's through some of those methods, such as that rain garden or other low-impact development techniques and strategies that help treat and manage that stormwater.
And you mentioned you don't currently have these parcels in your own ownership. They're currently under the stewardship of their prior owners, right?
Correct.
So if those prior owners were not interested in seeing land on or adjacent to a wetland being developed, they wouldn't sell to you, right?
I don't want to speak for the sellers, they're not here, but they're well aware of our project plan, and we're in constant coordination with them on what it is that we are proposing to do here.
So
And
they know.
The sale is contingent on the successful permitting of the project.
So they're well aware that you're building these projects with these impervious surfaces on or adjacent to wetlands.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Essek, thank you for being here tonight. I hate to go back to traffic because I think we've exhausted it. But I think beyond the inconveniences it will present to already established residents in that area, I think it also presents a public safety issue. So I'd like to hear more from you folks about how you will work with the community to mitigate any issues related to public safety, emergency vehicle access, better striping for crosswalks, abilities for folks to cross from one side of the road to the other. I think we need to do a little more homework on that, unless you've got some additional things to say.
Well, I would like to touch on that, and I appreciate that, because we actually have been doing coordination and collaboration with James Downey at DPW, as well as Chief Malaguti, relative to the fire station that's right there, and looking to identify and coordinate on opportunities to improve that public safety associated with the project. As Bob had mentioned, part of our next round of traffic impact analysis, what he would be doing is putting together some mitigation measures or items that could help serve that. And we are happy to work with Bill and his team at DPW and James to identify some of those specific opportunities that the existing residents see today, and that our residents in the future may run into. Again, as Bob mentioned, we want to build a project that we're proud to have homeowners call home. So we want to understand those challenges and look for opportunities to mitigate them. So it's certainly something that would be part of a future transportation impact analysis.
Okay. I'm glad it's on your radar. Can you go to one of the slides that shows all of the overhead area? Yeah, that's fine. Can you point where the rail trail is?
Yeah, so the rail trail, the parking lot is right here on Hedge, and the rail comes down here towards Plymouth Center. Here's Hedge here. The town just installed a new sidewalk here, and then the path currently travels down Sandry Drive, where it then goes off pavement here towards Cordage.
Okay. And you mentioned that you were going to create a cut-through?
So that was one of the items that we've been coordinating with the town on, and the idea to provide direct access for this building to residents to the rail trail came up as something that would be a great idea, both for the community and for the homeowners, and it's certainly something that we find would be a great opportunity. It's a fantastic amenity, and we would love to provide that access.
Okay, thank you. We've talked about the density of that neighborhood and the concentration, especially on Prince Street, of existing residences. What kind of outreach have you done to folks living in that area?
So we had a meeting with the North Plymouth Steering Committee 6 to 8 months ago now, I believe it was. It was very well attended. I don't know off the top of my head how many of those attendees were from Prince Street. I know a number of the attendees that I spoke with did live on or do live on Prince Street. Beyond that, we've been working with the town to kind of really refine our engineering and site design details, but certainly working with neighbors and on Prince Street as well as others on Hedge would be something that would be a priority for us moving forward.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if once my colleagues have concluded their questions, it'd be great if we could hear if there are any residents in the room, what they've got to
Thank
say.
you. I was waiting for us to finish, but yes, because I know Everett, I'm sure, has something to say too. But yeah, I was going to ask, yeah. I just have one question back to I heard you mention rail trail, and I heard you mention some line, I don't know if it was a sewer line that was going to go adjacent to that. Is that, and are you going to disrupt that trail?
No, so we've been working with DPW on that, and in our initial, we have a lot of survey work to go do and locate it, but the initial field investigation out there looks like access to that would not require significant disruption to the trail at all. It doesn't run underneath the pavement, it runs in the corridor itself. So there may be a need to go under the existing pavement to tie in, but it wouldn't require, you know, a horizontal running along it, though.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Comments? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to the issue? Mr. Hartman, Mr. Lydon, Mr. Malaguti, and Jade, is there Mr. Glenn? Yep.
So just would like to, Lee Hartman, Director of Planning and Development for the town, just like to provide a little bit of focus. So tonight, this is a presentation to this board about whether or not the town is willing to enter into an agreement with Pulte Homes to come in what is typically called a friendly 40B, which means it's supported. I would point out that, so the 40B process is a streamlined permitting process through the Zoning Board of Appeals. The state has said that housing is so important that it trumps, the need for housing trumps almost any other safety issue. Fully, we see 90% of all the ZBA cases statewide that are denied or not supported by the town overturned at the state level. So we have very little control over these types of projects when it comes through the Zoning Board of Appeals. So again, the discussion is there a way for us to leverage this development and get something out of the development that we normally wouldn't do through that ZBA process? We can always condition a project like this with certain requirements, some of the things we've talked about tonight. But I would point out that there is always the ability for a developer in what we call a hostile 40B, one that's not supported by the town, to go back to the state and say, these things are uneconomical, these conditions, we would like you to remove them. And again, the track record for a town to have those things stay in is not very good. So as we look at this and we talk about what we're considering, it's a 40B. We're probably going to see this 40B one way or another, and it's a question of whether or not we can do something that provides more benefit to the community than what will happen if we do it in a hostile or adversarial way. Everything that they're showing you right now is conceptual. It has to go through peer review. It has to go through review through the Department of Public Works. It has to go through review by the fire department. It has to go through a negotiated process with the Zoning Board of Appeals. Many of the things you raised tonight are things I think we'll hear again in an informal process through the Planning Board as well as the Zoning Board of Appeals. So as they talk about this, they talk about it like it's concrete and this is it. The plan may look different by the time it comes out of the other end of the process. So again, just a little bit of a focus on where we are tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Lydon, before we say anything, Steve, I just want to say one other thing. Those buildings that you showed us look nothing like anything in North Plymouth, other than the apartments that are at the old Walmart site next to Cottage. So if you can take away anything, a little design going further that looks like it belongs in North Plymouth and not Nantastic Beach, I guess. I don't know where they do that, but,
I appreciate the comment.
I mean, I'm being serious with you.
No,
you know.
no, and, excuse me, sorry.
Go ahead, no.
I appreciate the comment, and as Lee stated, you know, what we're showing here is incredibly preliminary, and architecture would certainly be something. Sorry, excuse me.
That's all right.
I appreciate the comment, absolutely, and as Lee stated, these are preliminary, conceptual, and architecture is certainly something that we can discuss or will discuss moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Lyden, the two questions I have is, I'd like to know how much gravel and materials are going to be taken off-site, and how many, because that equals how many truckloads a day will be coming out. And the other thing I am interested in is there are 38 affordable units. Are they at 80% AMI, or are they going to be 60, or are there going to be any reductions in the AMI for this? Thank you.
The board like me to respond to those. So as far as the gravel and the fill is, we don't have that calculation yet, but as part of what we would be submitting and presenting to the board as a final engineered plan package would certainly include fill quantities. And if anything were to ever move towards construction, which we're way down the road from, a construction management plan would certainly be included as part of that, which would dictate, and it could also be conditioned as far as a vehicular travel path and certain, when certain things can be done.
But you must have, are you anticipating any significant gravel removal from the site offsite?
Gravel in particular, or are you just earth removal? Pete, I don't know if you feel comfortable stating this yet, but we are pretty well balanced on this site. And again, that's where a lot of some of the harder to read in this light plans, you know, you look at all the topography that's in there. Again, Pete and his team did a wonderful job balancing these, and that's where that comes from. As far as the 80% AMI piece, it's not something that we've had further discussions on at all. The 80% AMI is what's required by the state for the 40B program.
Who wants to speak next? Comment, I should say.
Hi, I'm Matt Glenn, a longtime Plymouth resident and a one-time business owner and construction and developer. And I understand that a lot of these, I've had a lot of experience with this site. I worked with Mr. Sheehan for close to 3 years because we were going to put on, where you show number 3 was going to be a university, and number 2 was going to be a dormitory, and number 1 was going to be a low-level building for future parade repairs and stuff. And so I had a lot of work with this site, but one of the things I want to ask you, because I know a lot of these things are driven by economics, we had a severe shortage of electric power in that area. And Cottage Park used up a bunch of it with the 2 apartment buildings that they were using. And they were even talking about having to put a substation down there. And the load that we had on 2 and 3 were quite a bit lower than what you're talking. 150 units, all electric with car charges has got to be 200 amps a unit. I would, pretty educated guess there. So that was the first thing, is if you guys thought about that, because that's going to affect the economics of what's affordable. And it's also going to affect what you're going to do. Is it going to come on top of the road, under the road, et cetera, et cetera. And the second part of that is, when we met with, we went and did the same thing you did. We went with the North Plymouth Steering Committee, and a lot of the residents showed up, and we ended up lowering the heights of 2 and 3 and lowering 1 to 1 level, because when you come out of those houses, what you're looking at now is, you know, beautiful green lush.
then all of a sudden, now you're putting a building like this in their backyard. And I don't know if anything's been said about that, but we ended up dropping level 2 down to just 2 levels to accommodate the people. And then we had that stream underneath that you talked about, the perennial stream. We had to put a severe amount of piping and stuff so that we could retain that, because that's a seasonal spring that feeds into the ocean, and fish come up it. And it also, we had a runoff problem with that brick pond that was in the back there. Those are the things we had to address, and I don't know if you've even got that far down the road, so. And I know that Miss Sheehan is very concerned about ecology, and we've heard Phil a few times here, and I've been involved in a number of projects that she's fought where we wanted to take off 50 yards of fill, and she's turned it into a mining operation. And even at our church, she did it. So I just want to know how she can, in turn, say it's okay to pull that off. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn. Mr. Malaguti?
Everett Malaguti, Vice Chair of the North Plymouth Steering Committee. So I decided to come tonight, not necessarily just for the meeting which I usually come to, but basically mostly for this project. So at the meeting that we had months ago, there was not a single attendance of a person that resides on Prince Street. We actually made a concerted effort to make sure we informed every single person to actually know where they actually came from for that. So we tried to do some outreach. We got a little bit of outreach after the meeting for that, but we still haven't gotten as much outreach as the meeting that happened many months later on in the same facility for a different project. But one of the concerns that Mr. Golden brought up for public safety, we do have the High Cliff, which is the housing authority for seniors up there. So if we're impacting Prince Street, basically on both ends for the building 1 and 2, we're going to have to make sure we have a lot of effort to mitigate situations for that. Also, for the first building, we're sort of creating a second intersection in a way with that, because you have the exit and entrance of the CVS lot on that end of Court Street, and you also have Salem 5, this project, and the CCD Center basically all aligned on top of each other. So basically you have 2 intersections within about 50 feet of each other. The other bottleneck situation is Hedge Road. Hedge Road sort of looks like a soda bottle in a way, bottlenecks exactly at Court Street and then widens as you go toward the ocean. We have businesses on either side which have lack of parking, so that creates a problem with that, along with the road, which isn't a fully complete street in a way with sidewalks and everything to maintain the pedestrian safety, but also vehicular safety and public safety. So that is also a need that needs to be addressed through that has been talked about by the steering committee for at least 3 to 5 years now for varying proposals and projects. Also, with this too, if we are looking at green development, that if we're just pooling all the water off to the side and not using as part of irrigation or part of the actual building for gray water, stuff like that, we're not technically really being as green as we could be on that, and we should be looking at more avenues for that instead of piping in water for irrigation and for actual facilities that could use a different alternative, either rainwater or stuff like that. But I do think there needs to be more outreach to at least the 2 lying streets of Prince Street and Hedge Road, where you have a culmination of a lot of residences in there. You also want to have some mitigation effects, especially for building 1, which is going to be a complete denuding next to those residences' backyards, where they'll basically see everything when they can see basically nothing except for trees right now. The building 2, you'll have a little bit of leeway because of the hillside of there and the steep drop-off of the backyards of Quarter Street. But I do think there needs to be more collaboration, not just with the developer and the town, but also within the boards and the North Plymouth Steering Committee to get a outcome that's going to be beneficial for everyone on this. I, like I stated earlier, do not believe the traffic plan is adequate at all or even realistic, but that's my opinion on that, and I believe that's also the opinion of the majority of the people on the steering committee as well, too. So those are just food for thought on this right now. I know this is still in conceptual at the time, but I hope that there is a lot more collaboration, not just with the actual larger boards, but also the advisory board, which the North Plymouth Steering Committee is, to yourself, the planning board, and everyone else. So that is my part as vice chair, and we will be having our steering committee next week, so I'll bring this up during that as well, too. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the public comment? Jade, is there anyone online you know of? No? Okay, then.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cedarville Cemetery gift? Mr. Glenn, did you want to come up to the podium? Sure you can.
Matthew Glenn, longtime resident, and an eternity resident at some point, right in the spot that we're talking about. I know most of the people, actually most people in the room, we lost our son 6 years ago in a car accident. He was 32 years old, and his final resting place is a place, Cedarville Cemetery, that is not far from where we live. It's a rural cemetery that it's got a good feel to it, and it's small, and there's not much space left there. I'm actually on the cemetery committee as well, which you guys put me on. Thank you for that. And
you do a good job.
Yeah, well, we're getting a very large cemetery, which will be great for the town. So one of the things that we wanted to do was use some of our he was our only child, so we're using his inheritance to maybe improve the cemetery somewhat. And I met with the DPW and the cemetery chair and suggested that we could put in a wall along the side, because there's an embankment on the side of the cemetery away from, what's the name of that road in the back? Hedges Pond Road. And that way there, it would stop some of the erosion. It would make a better parking area. And we've met with a developer, Dacey, who is developing the house in there, and he has done some nice work to also bring up the area. And we would like to donate to the town this wall. And also they suggested that we put in a 10-foot wide new stairway in the middle, so that when you're walking up there with a casket, you could have somebody on either side and have plenty of room to get up on the road. And so we're asking permission from the select board that we could put this in. We have a full engineered plan that we've already had approved by the town, and they've accepted it. And these pictures are, it's a local contractor, Eaton Landscaping, who does a lot of stonework in the area, and this is some of his work in the Plymouth area. And we actually checked out quite a few stone walls, and my wife, who is a very particular person about details, went through a lot of stone walls and came up with this one, and then we found out who made it. So that's what we're here for, to say, is it okay if we do this for the town?
Mr. Canty, and then Mr. Pletzer.
Thank you. Mr. Glenn. I knew your son. I went to elementary school with Josh.
Oh, I didn't
I went to
know that.
Sacred Heart. I left at sixth grade. I considered him a friend when we were in school together.
Thank you.
I remember I lost touch with Josh after I left, but I was saddened to hear of his passing, and to the extent that it is of any comfort to you, he is remembered by the people who shared their life with him.
Wow. Thanks.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yeah, hi, Matt. This is great what you're doing. Your generosity, your wife and yourself, the generosity to this community. You know, you've turned a tragedy into like a positive thing for the community. You're keeping Josh's memory alive. I know over at the New Hope, the Joshua Way over there, I saw that. That was, when I saw that before that was even being built, that was touching right there. And I know of your events, your fundraisers down there at Cottage, you know, everybody was there.
He did the parking and the security for us.
Yeah. So it just great events. Music was his passion, and you've done a lot for that, for music in Plymouth. So I just want to thank you. It's folks like you that make this community the community that it is. It's just a great giving. You had a tragedy, and I know people embraced you, and you would have done the same thing for anybody else in the community, and you have done it. So I just want to thank you so much for this. This is going to...
You know, on a side note, one of the things that we've done with the money we've raised, we have a 14,000 square foot sound studio that we're just about done with at the Boys and Girls Club of Plymouth, with practice rooms, dance studios, gathering rooms, education centers, a video recording training center, and we're looking at hiring somebody to start running that right now, so that some of the less fortunate, you know, Josh used to always say that just because they're less fortunate doesn't mean they shouldn't get to play music and make music. So we're looking to get an occupancy permit probably within the next month, and then we're going to open it. So
Well, I'll
you
tell you...
guys will all be invited.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of talent in Plymouth. There's
Oh, there
musical
is.
talent in Plymouth. This town is second to none. It's amazing. So that's great news. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, another great thing you're doing. So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? I want to also, on behalf of the town, thank you both for what you do and the kindness, and that's really what makes this town.
Thanks.
So let's bring out the good in people, and that's what we do here, so. Okay.
Motion.
Yeah, we need a vote?
I make a motion to accept the gift in the proposed project.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blitzer. Discussion. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes, and thank
And myself, yes. Thank you again.
You'll get it done.
Okay, anyone wishing to speak under public comment? Please come up to the microphone and make sure the green light's on.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Harrelson, and I'm with Community Land and Water Coalition, a Plymouth-based nonprofit organization. I'm here to follow up on the presentation that I made to the October 22nd Select Board about sand mining. When I made the presentation, I neglected to include more than one slide from Plymouth. We reviewed the Select Board meeting after we were done presenting, and we heard that there were some comments about just that there wasn't anything presented about Plymouth in the presentation. So I'm here to deliver updated versions of my presentation with more information about sand mining in Plymouth. There are, I think, 4 slides that have pictures and drone footage of sand mining sites in Plymouth. We have We have pulled over 20 years of sand mining permits in the town of Plymouth, and we have identified over 40 sites with sand mining permits in this town. And we have also calculated over 23 million cubic yards of earth have been moved within the town of Plymouth. There actually have been articles about this going back several years. So I just want to update my earlier information, pass out copies of my presentation if possible, and just make the select board aware that there are 2 more permit requests for sand mining within the town of Plymouth coming up in Cedarville. Both of them are located in Cedarville, and they are both for applications for hundreds of thousands of cubic yards of earth removal to be taken off-site in the Cedarville area. So this is just an issue that I want the select board to be aware of and to pay attention to and to consider in the decisions that they make. So thank you. And if I may I approach the board with the updated copies?
Sure you can.
Okay.
Leave one with staff or Jade, so they have a copy. I usually don't respond, and I'm not really responding to you, but it so happens I've been trying to reach out to you because I'd like to invite you upstairs to sit with me and go over, because I have some questions on some of the comments that were made, and I want to know how much of it is actual fact, and if we are doing anything to the aquifer, I want to definitely know about it. So I'm putting it out there to you to come reach Jade at our office, and I'll gladly sit with you. And I'd like to go over any materials you have, gravel removal. You're calling it sand mining, and that's your prerogative. We hear that there were so many that night. I'm being told by the director in the town that there's actually 2, and one of them will probably be going by the wayside, so that'll bring it down to 1. So there is different conflicts on what you're, saying, and I get it, but I would like to sit with you and go over it and just, see what's fact and what's not, if you're so open to that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Steve
Change-
Lyden again. I heard the gentleman earlier talk about the chipping on the roads. I travel a lot of the roads that have been chipped, and I don't, when it first happens, when you go over, you kick up the stones, but there's signs that tell you, drive slow, chipping in progress. But other than that, I think it's I drive like Lunds Way and Long Pond Road and Hedges Pond Road almost every day. And I'll tell you, I don't see the problem of the stones coming up and causing a problem. And I think the DPW did a great job. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the public comment? No? Okay. Town managers report, Mr. Brindisi. Oh, I'm sorry, there is one online? Okay.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, can you identify yourself for the record?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's Al DiNardo, Precinct 17, Town Meeting Member. On a quick good note tonight, I know the board was busy, but on the game show Jeopardy, Mr. Jonathan Fox came in a very strong second representing Plymouth, and I just want to congratulate him, and I'm just hoping the board at some point may, if they see fit, to invite him in and just acknowledge that he represented Plymouth, Massachusetts very well tonight on Jeopardy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on public comment? Mr. Brandisi, then.
All right, good evening. Just a few quick updates. First, I want to congratulate and thank our VSO, Roxanne Whitbeck, for another great Veterans Day ceremony yesterday. It was well attended. She had a great guest speaker who really delivered a powerful message around veterans. And you look at some of the work that the town is engaged in regarding veterans right now, I think we have a phenomenal trifecta with our Veterans Office here in Town Hall, the new Veterans Center that just opened up here downtown. And then, as we've had for years past, the VA clinic up on Long Pond Road. So it's a great day to recognize our veterans on November 11th each and every year. But I look at the resources that this community offers for veterans as it's a testament to its commitment to the service to their country over the years. And then I also want to recognize Joe Goldberg. It was not well publicized, but if you have the opportunity, and we're going to do more around promoting the new Hall of Flags. There's approximately $30,000 of improvements that were made. There was a small ceremony, dedication ceremony, yesterday afternoon, just looking at the new area. It's been all painted. There's new carpet. The displays have been cleaned up and put out for everyone to admire. So we're going to do more work around publicizing this new space. But again, congratulations to Joe Goldberg. Him and Roxanne did a great job of putting that area back together. And then I'd also just want to mention to the board that David Malaguti, who now serves as our battalion chief working in fire prevention, will be promoted next week to Deputy Fire Chief of Operations. Our current Deputy Fire Chief Operations, Greg Kane, will be retiring in December. So congratulations to Mr. Malaguti for his promotion to Deputy Fire Chief. So, and then last, I just want to mention, since we're talking about fire, as you know, every morning when you turn on the news, most often what you see are the statewide wildfires that are taking place. We need rain. Talk to our fire chief, and he will tell you that he does a rain dance every day just to try to get rain here in the community. There's been over 1,000 wildfires in Massachusetts alone this year, which is very rare compared to the western part of this country. So we've already deployed some of our staff and mutual aid for outdoor fires in Middleton and Canton over the past couple of weeks as well, and working closely with DCR around the state forest and such. So I'm hoping that we get through this. There's been thousands of acres already burnt here in Massachusetts, but it's something that we'll be working closely with the fire chief, with Casey Kennedy, our communications coordinator, and trying to educate folks on how to prevent fires in these very dry days. So more to come on that, but we're going to try to push as much public messaging as possible. Pending any questions, that's all I have for this evening.
Any questions or comments, Mr. Brandisi? No, I have to agree with you, Derek. I thought the ceremony that they put together was fantastic yesterday. One of my favorites, actually. And was it the chorus that sang there? Were they from the senior center, or because they banged it like out of the
Yeah,
park?
they were great. They
really
they
were.
Very, very good.
Yeah, very nice. Yep. Okay, moving on to, oh yeah, new business. Anybody have new business? Talking to myself. Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make the community aware that on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, the 6th annual South Shore Conference for Women is happening in our community. The conference is a chance for women to come together to learn, grow, and be inspired by one another. It's being held at Hotel 1620. This is a sold-out event that brings more than 350 women who are leaders in various industries into town. I mentioned this for a couple of reasons. First, I think it's great to highlight the work that these folks are doing. I also think it's a great boon to our business community that we're going to have such a large crowd coming in for the restaurants and shops that we have in our downtown area. I also want to give a special thank you to Dr. Kelly Golden. Here's where I'll be self-serving. She is the chair of the South Shore Conference for Women. This is her second year chairing, and it's the second year that she's brought the conference to the town of Plymouth. So thank you to Dr., who is also Mrs. Golden, for doing that.
So now there's two doctors in the house.
Yes.
Anything else under new business? No? I have one thing, Derek. Thanksgiving week We're closed Thursday, naturally, Thanksgiving Day and Friday. I want to know what your thoughts are on maybe Wednesday. I don't see a lot of people coming to the building. I think it's a time when everybody's cooking and families getting together, and, you know, I know there's certain protocol you have to go through, but I'd like to bring it up and see what your thoughts are on it, if you could.
Yeah, we're happy to work with the various department heads that would be affected, and I think in some situations, maybe some of the union presidents, to see
Right.
if we can make that. But I do agree, Wednesdays are typically a slow day here in
I
Town
don't
Hall.
see people,
In
you
the
know,
other
and I don't
buildings
see
as
it
well,
being
too. So,
productive in here.
but I want to check with the Cal as well, see what they have going on for any programming
Right,
at the Cal and at the
exactly.
library as well. So, but yeah, we can circle back next week with the board.
Okay. Anything under letters? Nothing under letters. Old business? Nothing under old business. Motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you for watching.